All right, so we're here in Grand Island putting in a septic tank. I'm here with Nathan McCormick. He's the excavator on the job for the septic. You're gonna do the septic?
Yeah.
The conductors collect the rainwater and push it out away from the house. And you're gonna do the rough grade and the final grade.
Yep.
And we were on this job, and some things like this can happen where the contractor that we had contracted with for the excavation and the septic and everything else, he had done most of the job and then got pulled away to a different job and said, hey, I'm not gonna be able to do the rest of the job for you. Can you find someone else to finish it? We were able to connect through Frank.
Yep.
Right? Frank,
yep.
You worked with Frank for a long time on another job, and
yep.
Nathan came out, you came out and took a look at this job, which was great. Kind of dropped a few things to help me out and from a timeline perspective, but then we got into the job and realized that there were some other peculiarities.
Yep.
This site here in Grand Island, New York, Grand Island is an island just off of Buffalo, and it has, the rivers from Lake Erie going to Lake Ontario, flows around Grand Island, goes over Niagara Falls, goes out to Lake Ontario. And so on Grand Island there are some wetlands, and this site is a difficult site because there are some wetlands on it. And I know a number of people have reached out to me in regards to, hey, can you build on a site with wetlands? This is a great example of, the answer is yes, you can. That's the short answer. The long answer is, of course, you need to deal with the permitting issues. You need to go through Ducks Unlimited to buy credits. Basically, you pay Ducks Unlimited for wetlands credits so that they can preserve other sites. They'll give you more area on your site. However much you buy, you could buy the whole thing. You could buy just enough for your house and footprint. But there's setback requirements and all these kinds of things, and that's where a good engineer comes in with a site plan and, of course, a good excavator to actually do the work. And so, Nathan, we're here on site right now. You just put this septic tank in. Just gonna take a look at the house here. So here is the gas line, the water line coming off of the front left corner of the house, and then we are putting the septic tank here. Why don't you just describe the setup here so we can...
So we come out of the house over on that side because your electric service comes in right here.
Yeah.
So we had to move it on this side, but then we ran into the issue that the way the system is designed with the sand filter and the absorption bed, you have to have a 50-foot setback from your wetlands to follow the code and what they require.
So we needed to buy an additional few credits.
Yes, to allow us to have the room to fit this system here. This is your sand filter. This will get filter fabric over the top of it, and then we'll mound topsoil so it sheds water, and then your absorption bed will be over there, and all the water will shed off into the existing wetlands.
Now let me ask you, because when you first looked at the septic design, it called for a smaller pipe.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you explained that was not beneficial long term. Can you go over that? Because I think that would be really helpful for some people to hear.
So the original plan called for a pressure dosing system. And what that is your sand filter goes into a pump tank, and then your pump pumps it out in a 2-inch Schedule 40 pipe. And the original design that the engineer had, there was 2 lines that were 92 feet long out of 2-inch Schedule 40 with a 1/4-inch hole every 5 feet to allow the water to slowly leach out of the lines. And the idea is to distribute the water evenly. But the problem is the holes are directly on the bottom of the pipe, and when you set that on your clean stone that's 3/4 to 1 inch, it's very easy for the rock to plug the hole and not allow the water to leach out properly. And those little holes will plug up over time with anything that can get through into your pump or whatever, and then it'll just cause issues for the homeowner. So we opted out of that, and we're just doing a standard 4-inch perforated pipe for our absorption bed.
So that it changed the length of the line a little bit. and
Yes.
Dave from Ensel, he modified the design, but it's sort of a like-for-like design. The county didn't have any problem with it.
Yes.
They're fine with it. But long term, you're going to have a less likelihood of clogs and backup and maintenance and things of that nature,
Yes.
which is pretty important on a septic, because septics do require maintenance, right?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. You need to have them pumped regularly. You know, you need to have a reputable company install it for you. And, you know, when I do projects like this, the biggest concern is the homeowner. You know, it's when you get an engineer that designs a system, it's my job as a contractor to say, okay, you know, I don't think this is going to work well for longevity because, you know, at the end of the day, we're working for the homeowner. I'm not working for, you know, the town engineer. I don't want to put a product in the ground that in 5, 8 years, you know, even 10 years, they're going to have to worry about. You know, I want to install something where as long as they do the routine maintenance, which isn't a lot, that they don't have any issues for a very long time.
So how often should you pump your tank? I mean, it's based on use, right?
It's based on use. Typical rule of thumb is 3 to 4 years with average, you know, household activity. They design these systems based on bedrooms, so they take into account how many people are going to be in the house. But 3 to 4 years, you know, that's typically what I recommend. Some people like to stretch it out, but it doesn't pay in the long run, because then, you know, your tank backs up, your filter will start to back up, and it might not affect you for 10, 15 years, but eventually it'll catch up to you.
And then you want to flush the tablets as well monthly, right?
Yes.
Any recommendation
Yes.
on better tablets versus you know, less better?
You know, they're pretty standard.
It doesn't matter so much.
Yeah, I haven't really found a company that's really better or worse, you know, with stuff like that. You know, that's, as long as you do it regularly, that's the important thing. I'm just gonna make that an angle, and then you got a lot of room to come up, like right here.
Yep.
So we can put some dirt in here.
Yep.
You know, I just really want to focus the topsoil on the system.
Yep.
Out here we can put some along the driveway. I can taper it out a little bit. It's not the friendliest dirt to work with.
Yep.
But you know, it's, for me, I gotta get it flat. I gotta get it rough graded so that the sun can get at it.
Yep.
It's not gonna dry out in piles.
Right.
So
we're coming off the tank here. So you've got the tank. Is there an extension on the tank?
no, that is a typical 1,500 gallon septic tank.
Okay. And so size-wise, how big is this?
So it's 102 inches long, 79 inches wide, and another 79 inches deep.
Deep, okay. And so it comes in, you've got two sections of the tank.
Yes, so that's your inlet over there.
Yep.
That's where,
going to come in from that. You're going to flush your toilet. It's going to come out of the house here.
Yep,
through
Schedule
here.
40 P-trap. It'll go into there.
Yep.
That 2/3 of the tank is your holding. That's where all the solids will stay.
Yep.
There's a baffle in there with about a 3-inch gap that'll allow the water to spill over. And then you'll have your Zabel filter on your outlet that'll keep any solids from coming out. It'll go down into your D-box. It'll distribute across 6 lines on top of your sand filter. Down, there's 3 lines on the bottom, out into your pump tank. And then your pump tank, it'll have a manifold coming off it, the 3 lines that allow that water to just go out to the edge of the property.
And that's pitched out at what degree?
So your line going into the tank is a 1/4 inch per foot. Your line coming out of the tank is an 1/8 inch per foot. Your lines on top of the sand filter are a 1/16 per foot. And then all that out there is about an 1/8. You know, you don't want it to go too fast because then all the water will just go to the end.
Yep.
The idea behind that is it's evenly distributed. So about an 1/8 inch per foot as you go out there. You know, I want it to get to the edge of the property, but I also want it to not just dump out there.
Right, right. You want it to filter out kind of evenly as
Yes.
it travels out towards the edge of the property.
Yes. And then when you backfill, you have to make sure that rainwater or, you know, just natural, you know, groundwater isn't going to infiltrate your system. So you have to kind of make it a high point.
Okay. So it's Wednesday today. You started this install on Monday?
No, we actually started the install yesterday.
Yesterday, okay. So typical installation time on a septic system is how many days?
Typical, usually 2.5 to 3 days for the complete system to be in, and then, you know, another 1.5 days to backfill and make everything nice.
Conductors and regrade another couple days or 3 days, or what's typical?
Yeah, so with
this is a little tighter of a site, so you've got to move some, you know, take some trees down. But
that's what we're working on right now. We're moving the dirt to the back. I'm gonna get it rough graded so then it can start shedding water. It can dry out a little bit for me, and then we'll come back and we'll finish it and make it look really nice.
So we were just talking about the quality of the soil here. You can see that there's a lot of dark soil in the mounds, and that's pretty typical to see that when you're on a site that's just been holding water for a long time. But, you know, like we were talking about, once we regrade it, you have positive drainage, water's not sitting on the site, it's moving out into an area of the site or off the site, you know, where we want to direct it to. Then that soil is going to dry out, the ground's going to dry out, the house will certainly be dry with the drainage conductors, all the stone we did on the foundation, and the drain tile, the sump pump, all of these kinds of things. And so that's something that's not too abnormal on a site that's just been holding water, but that's a septic system install that we're dealing with right now in Grand Island. I appreciate you spending a couple of minutes. Nathan McCormick, RJ McCormick. You're out of where are you out of? East Aurora,
We're
right?
out of East Aurora.
Okay,
so a little far from home, but
you took this project on for us. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So what's your coverage radius for East Aurora typically?
So we really cover
it depends on the job, right?
Yeah, it really depends on the job. You know, we're willing to travel. You know, we'll cover really anywhere in Western New York.
Okay.
You know, our biggest motto is we just like to help people.
That's great.
So if the work's there, and you know, it's not really about the money, it's about helping people.
Well, you got to put gas in the tank.
You do. But you know, at the end of the day, if you run a good business, all that just works out.
Yeah, and I know you're talking with Andrew in Lancaster and a few other customers for us.
Yep.
And so that's great. Appreciate it, guys, watching. Let me know if you have any questions, any other videos you might want us to follow up on, but hopefully you found this useful, and have a great day.